I wanted to come back to, I heard something today on NPR. It was, and it relates to you saying that dancers should be treated like athletes, which I totally agree with. I heard Ken
Mhm,
Swift of Rocksteady Crew talk about the
mhm,
Olympics, and he's a dance teacher at UCLA too, for those who don't know. He said that breakdancing isn't a sport, it's an art. How do
mhm.
we merge those two worlds where you are an athlete and it is art? Because I agree that dancing, you're an athlete. Your body is
Yeah,
trained. You are
yeah.
more of an athlete than some people who are in the Olympics right now, I think.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
just in your training. Is
Yeah,
that used
that's a
as?
great question.
How do we merge those two worlds? And I'm not, I don't expect you to have an answer, but like, it's something that I agree it is an art, but you are an athlete. So how do we, when you're
Yeah,
injured or possibly going to be injured, what's a great way to say, listen, the art has to stop because this athlete needs care?
yeah. I mean, when I said that in my post, it was mostly in reference to my training, which was, the show must go on kind of mentality. And
Yeah.
yeah, I agree it is more so of an art form because you are telling stories, right? It's less so about hitting everything perfectly. Um, maybe perfectly is probably the wrong word, but like in a sport, there's a very clear goal, right? Um, but in dance or in movement, it's you're telling a story. It morphs, it changes. Nothing is the same at any given point. So I do agree that it is definitely more of an art form. I was saying that we need to start taking care of our bodies like we're athletes because the
Yeah.
show must go on mentality, which happens in all like acting, whatever. It happens in all of them. Damage it can create more damage because I would just pop painkillers and then go on and do 8 shows a week. Or
Yeah.
I had a tear in my shoulder blade, and yet I'm still doing the shows where I'm standing on my head for, like, a minute, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
right.
things like that is it's like, A, you don't need to do that, but, like, if you're going to be doing that stuff, things like CrossFit training, weightlifting, nutrition, meditation, mind health, which is everything that athletes do, should have been incorporated in my training
Okay.
from the get-go. That's what I
So
meant.
no, no, and thank you, because now I see it as I saw it more as the like after you're injured, maybe not severely yet, but if you continue to do your thing, you're going to be more injured. You're going to aggravate the well the injury. I keep saying that word.
Mhm.
And what I see what I think I'm understanding now is it should be preventative before you get to that point. Take care of yourself and be aware you're an athlete and be aware your body is your tool and you need to maintain
Mhm.
it and take care of it, even if the show can't go on. And I just
Yeah.
thank you because when I saw those two statements, I agreed with both. I just didn't know how to get them to communicate to each other in my head that you are an athlete, and before you get that far, take care of yourself, but also maybe have a clear cut. Um, and then, of course, I thought it was a bold statement to say that about like the first and possibly last breakdancing in Olympics. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting comment there, Ken
Mhm.
Swift. So I wanted to definitely talk about it because I'm curious what's going to happen in the Olympics. It's tomorrow night? I think
I think so. I'm not
tonight or
too
tomorrow.
sure.
I'm interested by every time there's a new Olympic sport and they give it. I'm always fascinated about how it's going to go. And this is
Yeah.
I grew up listening like to early hip hop, and I saw breakdancing for the first time on TV.
Yeah.
Thinking like, what is that? And all my friends had to
Yeah.
do the worm, and like
Yeah.
So to see it now on this level, it's kind of like seeing like some of the bands I loved as a kid now on the Grammys
Yeah.
or
Uh,
Yeah.
the
hosting things.
the
Sorry.
breakdancing pre-qualifier does take place tomorrow, and
All right,
I
cool.
would spend a lot of
Oh.
money to see you do the worm. That's all.
Oh, the worm on the ground. What's this one where you do that?
This is the wave.
The wave, yeah.
The
See.
wave. I can't do it right now because I have so much pit stains right now. Like, it is hot in this booth. So I'm not lifting my arms up past here.
Good.
But
That's fine. That's fine.
that's
I think
that's the wave.
so no, thank you so much. Because again, I didn't think you meant anything negative by your statement. In fact, I thought it was a very positive,
Yeah.
please look out for yourself statement. So
Yeah, but
What a
also just like don't shame your dancers if they're injured, they need to take a break. Because that happened to me. It's a very old school mentality. You think of, that ballet teacher that's got the cigarette and like the cane and like whips you like to straighten your back. Like that's a thing. It happened. So it's more like push through rather than like let's assess what's happening and then move forward. It was just like keep going no matter what
repeat, repeat,
kind of
repeat.
thing. Yeah, and the thing with dancing too, and I think with any sport, you always favor one side. Like there's one leg that's just higher than the other, and so you start to develop uneven muscle tone,
Okay.
which then creates different pulls on your joints because your muscles are and your tendons and ligaments are holding up your joints, right? But if they're imbalanced, then what do you think is going to happen to your joint? So just things like that, like, dance schools really should have physios on staff, and they don't. I don't even think they do now, but yet athletes, even like, Cirque du Soleil have physios, multiple physios on staff.
I didn't know that. But I mean, so in absence of that, what would you suggest a parent do with their child to make sure that they're physically healthy? Should they have more regular doctor appointments? Should they have a physio that they go to? What would you suggest to keep kids healthy or to get healthy attitudes and habits?
Yeah. I would say physios, if you've got an injury, go see someone as if you can. I do realize that it is a privilege to be able to see someone
Yes,
because they're often
absolutely.
quite expensive, right? But like, I used to teach dance and most of my kids couldn't even do a single push-up. So, if you can't do a single push-up, you probably shouldn't be kicking your face. Your muscles aren't strong enough. So you've got to condition. You can
All
do
of
all
them.
this at home. Yeah, go on a YouTube like, CrossFit video. Do it at home. Just make sure you're cooling down at the end of class. Most people I didn't cool down. Class was done. I'm like, "Whoo, let's go eat." You know?
Straight to
Like
Taco Bell.
yeah, like you gotta stretch out your muscles and all that stuff. So there's three stages.
I'm
There's the
bad at
warm
that
up.
too.
Yeah, well, everyone is. No one likes to cool down. The fun part is the dancing part, right? Like the warming up's not fun. The dancing part is great, and then the cooling down is not fun. So like you
Yeah,
gotta
my,
do the
my cool
non.
down my cool down at the gym was I get sweaty doing whatever I do. A little,
Yeah,
then I go. I usually do cardio, then weights, and then on the way out the door is my cool down.
yeah,
Before I get to the
exactly.
car, I'm cooling down the whole time. It's cool. The sweat's drying. I'm obviously better now. I can do more things.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm.
Um,
These are
I
good things.
yeah. I'm gonna go back to one of your other questions because I do really want to give a shout out to the people that, took care of me
Yeah, yeah.
when I couldn't do anything. Like my sister took me to surgery. She sat there in the surgery room, waited for me. She's a
She
she
had
was a
the
front she was
awesome
a front
opportunity to write on your head then too.
Yeah, I know she should have. She missed it. She didn't do
She
it.
missed it. It's our
Um,
fault. If she's watching this, it's on you.
yeah, you missed it. But she was, pregnant and like really pregnant and like frontline worker as well. And and
And
she
COVID, and purposely going
yeah.
into another sick area of yeah,
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah.
an amazing
So my
woman.
sister, yeah, my two best friends, Isaac, Kwaku, they were the first people and Gabby, Megan, they were the first people that I saw after, I got out. I was able to, go outside and sit on the grass and stuff and like forced everyone to see my two nubbins, my two scars that I've named Gollum and Dobby. Yeah.
Wait,
So
you
yeah,
crossed
here we
universes.
are. I did. I did.
Okay. Hey, sorry I rushed you through that. I did want you to name names, so thank you so much for going back and I want because I think that people who help when things are bad and well, your life was like mid bad at that point. Like they thought, well, after this, like, but no, they were there. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's important. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, my mom, like, provided financial support, so, like, it did take a lot of people.
so you had done some acting before the surgery, right? So, right? I believe I looked at your
Yeah, yeah.
IMDb, and that's not always
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So was it natural for you to go like after surgery to go, I'm going to take on more acting, or were you thinking, oh, what
Mm,
am I going to do now? Like, how
mm.
did acting then become your major instead of anything else?
Yeah. Actually, acting was kind of becoming my major way before surgery. I started acting,
Okay.
um, yeah, I started acting a year after I graduated dance school, where I started, I danced for Lady Gaga was my first gig, which
That's amazing,
I'm
by
really
the
not.
way. That's
Thank you.
amazing. Like, come on.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great experience. But shortly after that, that's how I got an agent. And this is what I meant by
Okay.
dance opened up a lot of doors for me. So I got an agent and then I started acting very, very quickly. So I've been acting since 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably about 6 years into my career, decided I wanted to be an actor first, and it was kind of like, they were parallel, but acting was kind of taking off. So I am really grateful that I had that going on. But it was on camera acting first. So even, with my surgery,
Right.
I had to stop that. I couldn't be on set. But what I could do was voice act because they didn't need to see my body, and I'm honestly so, so grateful that I had that, like, that transition just happened so smoothly. It was hard, it was definitely hard. It's hard to, do auditions on crutches. It's hard to, like, you know do yeah, just keep it going when you're just in so much pain or on crutches or on
Or
so
even
much
get
painkillers.
into the car. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But thankfully though, most things were actually online and self-tapes and auditions were through Zoom. So it was actually a really great time to be injured, I guess, in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah, yeah.
and I've heard both things. Like, it was easier to get to auditions, but it also was easier for everybody else too. So instead of your
Mhm.
20, 30 people in the running, it's now 3,000 people that are just doing video. So like your competition gets bigger, but at least you get to be part
For
of the
sure.
competition.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is
yeah.
a great time to point out where you're sitting right now, your sound
Mhm.
booth that I've seen
Mm,
a post on. You seem very proud of, and
I am.
it's probably been your best friend for a while now, I imagine.
Yeah. So one of my good friends here, his name is Mike. We built it. When I say we, he built it. I'm useless.
You're
um,
not.
we built it. Well, I did do drywall cutting. I'm the queen of drywalling now.
That's tough.
But
I
yeah,
hate it.
we built a little tiny home, and it was, so that I could record anywhere really. And I did do a little bit some work in here where I recorded on a show in Toronto while I was in BC. So yeah, and this is kind of just like, yeah, it's very DIY, but it's quite good.
It works. Yeah, we
Yeah.
talked to voiceover actor Bonnie Gordon. She does
Mm,
voice for currently on Star Trek Prodigy, and it was her home booth.
There's the Star Trek reference.
You're welcome. Thank you. I always throw a Star Trek reference in, and Zaz has to catch it. This is more of a Bonnie reference, but she had mentioned it during the COVID experience. Is that what we're calling it now? During that whole thing, she had a booth at home, and she was able to do stuff, and that led to jobs. Like, just having access at home, the foresight to build it opens up things, which I think is just fantastic. So.
mhm,
When people
mhm,
say, "How do you do it?" Like, build a booth at your house to show that you really
mhm.
care enough to do it right. Um,
Yeah.
so this got you the booth. Do you record Leanne there? Do you go somewhere else to record, or on like, sorry, I have my notes right in front of me and I'm not using them. Um yeah. So did that get you your job with Lego Friends?
Lego Friends is so I would go into the studio, but
Okay.
I record all my auditions in here. But yeah, no, I go into the studio for Lego Friends, and so that because eventually we started doing ensemble as well, but it's also just like it's in town, so it's just easier for me to just
Okay.
go to a studio rather than like
Oh,
me
you do
trying to do like
ensemble.
all the. Yeah, yeah, we do. We started it, I wanna say last year, we started doing ensemble recording, so the cat whoever's in the episode would be in the room with you. But prior to that, many of the, during the COVID era, most people recorded solo. So you
Right.
just be in there by yourself, and you kinda just have to give as many options as possible to hopefully line up with what you think the other actor might have done it, like how they would have done it, because then they would piece it together in post, so
Right.
it
Right.
sounds like you're in the scene together.
Instead of asking you which you like better, I'm gonna ask
Mhm.
you what are some of the bonuses and negatives of either
Of voice
the
acting
of
and
solo or ensemble, like having
oh,
for you as an actor. So,
yeah,
what do you
yeah.
like or dislike about either, without picking a favorite?
Oh, okay, I can't pick okay, alright.
Yeah, I don't want you to pick a
Um,
favorite.
okay. What I like about ensemble is you get the bounce. You're just it's like you're playing ball and someone's actually there to I'm doing this playing as I'm playing ball. This is how you play ball. PS. This is why I'm not, not
So you're not an athlete. You are an athlete. You are an we just
tennis.
went through that. You're an athlete.
We
You're
just
not
went
a
through it.
you're not a professional ball player.
Yeah. Tennis. I'm talking about tennis,
Tennis.
okay?
Yeah.
But someone's actually hitting the ball back. And
Yeah.
which is nice because so now I'm like, oh, I'm actually acting with someone, which is amazing. And you get to, you get to be in that environment of, bouncing off everyone's energy. And that's the best thing about ensemble recording. What I loved about solo recording, I love the challenge, to be honest. You really had to, you know, envision what it the scene what the scene sounds like, what every character might sound like, and think of a million different ways of
Okay.
like giving them as much options as possible. You mean you still do that with ensemble, but for what with like solo recording, you definitely have to give them options because you just don't know what the other person before you or after you did, right? And half the time you don't even know who's in the cast because you're all missing each other for, COVID reasons and protocols and stuff. So